Accounting for inflation. There you go. There you go. 5 years later.
I get a little bit of extra from interest.
Yeah, and Charnook has nothing, so I mean, take that. There you go.
I have nothing as well.
You do have nothing. Ulyrus has 10,000 sitting in an account right now.
Yeah, I did. I never used it.
I guess that goes to his mother. All right, well, welcome to another wonderful session of Dungeons and Dungeons. We have the Ignatius and Tyrian mini adventure this week, as everybody is busy and had to bail last minute. Sadly, we have to put the, as I keep telling everybody, the equivalent of the Battle of Midway during World War II in the Pacific Front on hold in Yin Yang, as the battle is on hold just as the Kraken has revealed itself to the group. Instead, we're going back, I believe, a couple weeks, potentially 2 weeks or 1 week to the day inside Waterdeep, just as a conversation has been wrapping up between Salem, Phi, and the crew as they've been catching up. A bunch of the other people and part of the Waterdeep group are exhausted and they head to bed early, that being Tullius, Orhana, Charnook head up, and so does Zeph, and we're just left with Phi, Salem, Tyrian, and Ignatius before the night's end, in case you guys want to talk anything else with Salem. Otherwise, we can get on to whatever you want to do, exploring Waterdeep or intentions or things you want your players to get after. This is a wonderful downtime period coming out of the chaos of what's happening up in the north. This crew has earned some rest and relaxation after their travels against some pretty drastic odds. So here we are inside the humble, cozy abode inside Lift's place, or otherwise known as Troll Skull Mansion, the place that Tullius technically owns the deed to. The fire is on. There are people littered throughout the place, including Matt Mercer, and I believe there was another person hanging out with him at this point inside the bar, as well as Liff is behind tending to it. The night is yours. You feel comfort. You feel how cozy it is in here. The wooden planks of the floors give that sound of home. For Tyrian, for Ignatius, it's more of a welcoming, newfound place of comfort.
So what do you think? This is your first time being in the bar.
Nice place. I love a good bar. Oh, what time is it? It doesn't matter. I'm gonna have a drink. How about you?
Why not?
Lift comes over on the house, of course, and by that, Lift sort of gives you a little link and says, funds are a little low, but we still have plenty for, of course, the owners. As he puts one down to Tyrian and gives one over to Ignatius and floats his way on over. You guys have an ale filled to the brim, a nice big Charnook-sized mug. Flagon would probably be the better descriptor.
Flagon. Wonderful.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Crackling of the fireplace and the little murmur of voices throughout the inn right now gives you this quiet and calm inside the bar late at night, closing in to about 11 p.m. at night, as Salem and Phi are also just sort of looking, handing their meals back, thanking, leaving some money on the table, and settling in the food in their stomachs as they're processing everything they've heard from your group.
So, tell me more about you. I mean, you started out in Skoberheim, you said, I think?
That is correct.
What led you to being a warrior or a soldier?
Oh. Well, I kind of spent most of my life trying to stand up for those who couldn't do it themselves. I don't like people getting pushed around, so I kind of figured joining the army is a good way to, protect people from all different sorts of bullies, so to speak. But sometimes the army can be the biggest bully of all. What? you have to, fight your battles, figure out your own path, which is why I decided to leave after a time. I didn't want to be a part of it anymore. The army was not what I wanted it to be anymore, if it ever was.
And was that when you moved out to the farther reaches, like Enzik?
Well, I drifted around for a while, did some odd jobs, ended up by the coast, a small fishing town. I worked there for a while, and then ran into a couple people who were also from Skoberheim. We kind of became kind of a band of, I mean, you could probably call us, we were hired swords, basically.
Oh.
Not really mercenaries per se, but, we would go through towns and sometimes they would have trouble with bandits, orcs, goblins, and we would help drive them off, protect the town in exchange for gold. Gotta make a living.
So, like, I guess more like hired blades. It was really just like
hired swords. That's what
not really doing like protection detail or fighting off whoever's bidding the highest, but more like just odd jobs.
Yeah, small town protection jobs. Trying to help out the small guy.
Mm-hmm.
We didn't really want to get dragged into some rich guy's pocket to do his bidding. We just kind of wanted to help people out who were in real trouble.
So how'd you end up all the way over in Atet? I always get confused between the two.
Atet.
Yes, you're right.
Atet.
Stay confident. I'm holding out. You guys are doing great.
Well, after a while, things started getting pretty hot. We started getting a couple of dicey missions where things went south, and my compatriots decided they wanted to lay low for a while, so I kind of went out alone. That's when I got contacted by was it?
Ophelia.
Was it Phi? Ophelia contacted. So,
yep.
Ophelia gave me a job to do, helping out those the people from Tendorf.
People from Tendorf.
This music's way too happy right now. I'm skipping whatever I'm on.
Yeah, I believe it was for the Grey Hood, right?
Little refresher, because you only have a bazillion stories straight. You ended up.
By the way, Hunter knows what he's talking about. Tyrian doesn't.
I know, which is why I brought it up.
Ophelia contracted you, Zeph, and another to help with endangered species, and you guys were inside Tendorf to go get an endangered tiger species when the Within the Shadows ends up happening, and you come across the people fleeing Tendorf, and you give aid to them on that boat ride out.
Okay. I was helping this woman Ophelia saving some endangered species. I felt it was a worthy cause, so I went along with it. And we ended up running into the heroes. I think people here call them heroes, but we ran into them and helped them escape Tendorf. And
those people by the statues at the monastery?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, they were in a bad situation, and they needed to get out quick, and we had a boat or ship. and we gave him a lift, and we sailed away. With some pretty important items, if I do remember correctly.
You do indeed. Without Ignatius here, we probably wouldn't have been able to try and outrun the Tendor fleet that was coming after us, or even heal from our wounds. The only survivor from our group has been working closely with the Blackstaff over the past couple of years. Torleaf has taken up quite a mantle here, helping other aspiring mages. We need all the help we can get, since Kobold Wolves have been doing their damnedest to recruit any magic users of any capability to their ranks.
Yes, and
That's fine.
That was when I had my first encounter with the Storm Temple while we were at sea. And like I said before, couldn't get through the gates, and eventually ended up at Old Town.
Yeah.
And I got a feeling from the storm that I had purpose there. I just had to wait for a sign, and you guys showed up. So, yeah, that's been my life.
It's quite a tale.
Yeah, yes it is. And learning how to use new abilities, it's been quite interesting.
I remember that. I had my own similar coming of age with my power, my own abilities.
Where do your abilities come from?
It gets kind of murky. It was eons past. My family's been around for quite a while. Long ago, I had ancestors who stumbled upon some sort of ancient magical creature that was being hunted. And they fought off the poachers, and kind of this elderly old creature bestowed on them a gift of magic for their bloodline for helping it out.
So you're a legacy, basically.
In a sense. It doesn't appear as drastically in everyone. It skips a few generations. Typically, those in my family we're a little bit hardier. Actually, and I'll hold out my arm, and if you inspect it a little bit closer, it looks a little bit more rough and calloused, almost like it's like reptilian scales in a weird sense.
May I?
Yeah.
I'll feel it and look at it a little bit. Oh, very interesting. I haven't met many of your kind, but definitely very interesting.
Normally, us tieflings aren't we're more fair skinned. Where we're far back is based around the mixture of demons and humans and what have you. But with us, we kind of have this quirk, so we get a little bit rougher, kind of natural hardiness, and an aversion against, or a resilience against fire. So my was it my father? I can't remember.
I think so.
Some of my family, my father, my uncle, they were more craftsmen, blacksmiths, working around fires, that kind of stuff, because it doesn't affect them quite as much. And then every few generations or so, it comes out a little bit stronger, like it did with me, where we can actually mold and craft this arcane energy that billows within us.
Wow.
Not quite, kind of gesturing to Fi who had mentioned it. Not quite similar, but not quite the same as the more learned wizards, where they learn it through study. For me, I don't have as wide of a range, but I have innate ability.
Yeah, okay.
She nods and responds, and typically that offers different avenues for different spells and magical schools. It's not one to be viewed as a disadvantage by any means.
It's different. The advantage I have is because it's more akin to my personal being. It's always there. I don't have to worry about memorizing what I need for a day at the start of the day and kind of figure it and optimizing my strategy around that, which would be nice, but part of my advantage is I can actually mold my magic to have new and enhanced abilities.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Well, I'm still relatively new to the whole magical spells realm, so
you'd probably be able to pick Tellius's mind a little bit more. He uses more, because there's different realms of magic. There's the arcane, there is, and then there's the nature, where you'd find with like more who am I thinking of? This lady we met who kind of sent us on our quest, more of a druid based magic, very nature oriented. And then there's also more like your ability, more from the gods, where they kind of gift you your powers.
Yes. It's a big wild world out there. With a lot to uncover.
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely a lot.
At that, when you say that, Tyrian, you hear the table silverware and the plates jump on the table as a cat flops in front of you, and you hear this big everything goes up and run out and off the table. Give me a dex check if you want to try and grab it as it tries to run away. See if sleight of hand if you can grab the cat before it peels out.
I was grabbing my drink so it didn't spill.
You were grabbing your drink, so you go for the drink then. I misheard you, sure. I couldn't hear the clatter of the cat hitting the table.
Dexterity.
Yep.
Saving throw or just flat?
Saving throw, yeah, sure.
I mean, it's the same, actually. So, non-natural 20.
Oh, dope. Easily you pick it up, and the cat zips off, and as you look up in some of the beams that support the second floor, you see a crow, and just looking at you, and goes, caw! And you see...
That's a weird-sounding crow.
I actually laugh at that statement.
You see Liv, we get all sorts of visitors in here. Some of the patrons complain about it, but most don't, especially the druids. Keeps them around.
Is this crow a common guest?
He comes and goes.
Do you guys feed him or something? Like, does he like it here?
He must. I don't know. He hangs around. Sometimes causes a little bit of mischief.
Crows can do that. Does he have a name?
Not specifically.
It's just Crow then.
Caw!
Yeah, you'll see him. He'll pop around here and there.
Well, what about this crew? It sounds like you guys have done some amazing things.
We've had our own adventures. we all actually we pretty much met up here in Waterdeep. I'd been living here for a while. I've been prior to out of character.
Yes.
Did we tell you about the time skip?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. Before we went into the mountain and had that loss of time, I had been living here for coming up on 6 years overall, because I'd been here 5 years when I met the group. I was just working down in the docks. I kind of lived my own life, just kind of moved here for some more opportunity and ability to more opportunity for both careers, and to try and mold my abilities a little bit better with libraries, more resources to try and touch base with the arcane. And then everybody just kind of ran into each other one day in a bar.
That's where some of the best friends can be made.
Yep. There was a bit of a scuffle at the time that we were having issues with some turf wars between different gangs. We ended up going on a bit of a manhunt trying to figure out this whole internal, kind of stumbled upon some corruption and and some espionage type esque stuff. We sort of stumbled upon. Yeah, we sort of stumbled upon the initial whispers of the Cobalt Wolves. At least their influence out here.
Blew up half the damn seaport.
Yeah.
I shouldn't laugh, but that was a little bit my fault.
Was it now? I just remember saving all of you from imminent death thanks to Yavanna, helping move some of the water as all you were drowning to certain demise. I didn't know you helped blow up the ship. I thought that was all.
Well, it wasn't intentional.
Good. That eases my conscience.
Do you remember way back there was an issue with the clockwork mechanism?
Yeah.
And how it had killed a few people.
Yes, indeed.
So one of the things we actually, and this is admitting after the fact, that what the device it had used was a necklace of fireballs, and I may have pilfered that for my own purposes.
Well, one can never be too careful.
I mean, my specialty is in fire magic,
sure.
So it was very interesting for me. And so as we kind of went along, we ran into this whole back-ended conspiracy. We had this issue with the Zentarum. Talked about the growl huns and everything, and had that whole mess where we kind of basically disabled the entire Zentarum in one night.
Zentarum brings up memories in you back in Skoberheim that you guys were clearing out Zentarum cells. That was happening quite often before the Civil War. And you do remember at the same time the Cobalt Wolf cell that was caught too late, and that's how they were able to persuade a lot of deserters to come to Tendorf, including what you suspect how one of the Valkyries defected from Tendorf through the Cobalt Wolves. That all rings a bell in a similar scenario to this train of experiences that Tyrion's bringing up to you. It was a very tough time full of a lot of turmoil, and the Zentarum were the first to fall, and it seems like they were almost happy to fall upon the sword to allow the Cobalt Wolves to stay as long as possible before getting out. It didn't sit right with you during the travels you uncovered with your groups and the communication of commanders at the time, and even between different capital cities in Enzik, again with Tyrion's friend, the commander that you saw executed by a Valkyrie. He was very troubled by what was a elite spy organization being completely dismantled within days inside the entirety of the kingdom. Didn't sit right.
And we were following up a lead. I think at that point we had started to get the mentionings of the Cobalt Wolves. We were looking up that, and we found this trader ship that didn't make sense. It was being guarded by guards who weren't real guards. They were clearly imposter, either smugglers or something of that sort, who had taken the place of guards for that power on the dock. We kind of had to fall onto the boat, and we ended up running into a bit of a figure, a man named Mansoon, who we found out after the fact. And I guess he was like the original founder of the Zentarum or something. Pretty powerful. And so it was we kind of staggered down into the boat when he was there. And then when I got in there, I was like the third person down. And I kind of saw him, and I was just kind of like, he looks bad. Because we had seen him before, and I knew he was like scary. So I just kind of like ripped off the necklace, which had about, because it's Salem's next to us, right?
What's that?
Is Salem or 5? Yeah.
Both. They're both at the table still with you guys.
I look at Salem. It was like 6 beads, which is about a level 9 fireball, a 9th level fireball. And I just kind of threw it at him. And that wasn't the big thing.
Yeah.
Inadvertently, I guess he had some sort of trap, magical trap.
Oh my god. This makes
that charged from the energy of that fireball, which led to boom.
Oh. Well, I mean, would you like to explain, Fi? Because you've been around longer throughout this war than I have, because, you know, the whole Orlith situation. Fi nods. What he seems to be describing is the arcane fire traps that have been used quite often throughout this war. Yeah, the more firepower you put in, the more you get out. Something that's been used is arcane casters will, day after day, continue to charge these, and they will retain every day's worth of magic in them and potentially do catastrophic levels of damage. And these were set to deter invasions of certain castles or to protect figures of importance. Obviously, it couldn't be used so much as an offensive attack, because scouts would notice that there is quite a display going on when there's glowing arcane traps on the floor and people putting all sorts of fire enchantments or fire attacks into it. It's something that can be identified easily if you know to be looking, but obviously most people aren't looking for it when it's hidden out there.
And you're in the middle of a fight.
Yeah.
You're not always thinking about it. So yeah, it was kind of my fault.
Salem just sort of like, well, who could blame you? No one really knows until it happens. Yeah, he had a way of always being, a step ahead, and Escott seems to be 2 or 3 steps ahead. It's a very strange, but he's no more, which is the good news. So we only have one more individual to worry about. What's that?
You said, who's no more?
Mansoon.
What?
Oh, that's right. You guys haven't heard from the reports yet. Mansoon was killed at a battle about 2.5 years ago.
Wow.
Yeah, it's what those monuments represented. And and it was quite a win. I wish I could have been there for. Calgary informed me, and Fi was a survivor. She's a veteran of the fight. She should have stood up to some pretty amazing odds. I'm not going to speak for you. Go ahead and speak for yourself, Fi. You don't have to flatter me. It was I was lucky Monsoon didn't put his rage towards me sooner. But after departing with you, Ignatius, we fled as best we can. I believe we touched on this in our conversations earlier, but we met up with Calgary, who's another one of our commanders here. We started new branches once all this came down to try and combat magic users, because Monsoon was such a clear threat. Then we also had another branch set up for research and development to try and create new weapons, and obviously we had what Salem has now taken over, but what was once headed by Dadlin was a department on our gray hand, where we would be doing basically the hardest jobs, whether it be spying or getting things done that needed to be done for the benefit of Waterdeep. The fight was more a horror show with my companions as we fought our way through what we believed was an attack by Escott, but it was actually a plan and a trap laid out by Monsoon to capture the Blackstaff. Fight ensued. We lost wonderful people, courageous people, but in the end, Blackstaff was freed, and our open lord L'Oreal came and dealt the finishing blow to Monsoon, who is no more. But it seems, Escott still is able to wield many of the powers at which that Monsoon was using, whether it must have been through some contract he may have signed with other worldly creatures or forces, or we haven't been able to pinpoint how these resources still keep getting through despite his absence. Like Salem said, Escott always seems to be 2 steps ahead of everyone. Not all the time, though, because we did cause him to go start his plans early because of their brave efforts. They brought vital paperwork back, information, and an orb. They were trying to perfect a way to mass dominate individuals. That was a super weapon of sorts that our research has been trying our best to figure out how they were even capable of finding such an artifact. Dark lords or myths of the past or deep bottoms of the ocean. No one really has a grasp on where this item came from. But from the briefings I've had so far, it's just lucky we got it out. Otherwise, it would have been a much worse war.
Wow. Let's see. After that, we traveled across the continent. We got to a place called Fanlin. We got a vision from, oh jeez, who was it? That one goddess, the luck person.
Funny as you might find it, I'm not too good with the gods.
one of our
Fi looks over at Timora.
Yes. One of our compatriots had some sort of previous connection. Something got a vision about her old friends, the little one Orhana. We ended up going to this town Fanlin, in search of. We got kind of a tablet through a series of things here in Waterdeep. I won't delve too deep into that. But we ended up getting this kind of ancient tablet that needed to be refined. So we ended up out there, and there's this cave with the magic forge that they had been using to craft magic items. And we took it there, and an old friend of ours, he was more of the crafter type. He forged it and refined it into this gem, basically. He had a weird experience there. We had to fight off it was our first experience with the lizard folk. Corruption. It's the corrupted lizard folk.
Salem leans down. Was even in Fanlin?
This was before everything.
5 years ago.
This was like 2 months after we left.
Wow.
And then we got that. Went out to what was it? What were we? Oh, yes. So we were searching out because we had been getting these speakings of this Orleth character, and so we were collecting items that we had been told would help us to defeat her. And so we were collecting these. We ended up over in Neverwinter. We got one of the items from Fenelon. We went up and wound up in Neverwinter. We got an item from there. And then we sailed across and went to the mountain and fought a demon lady.
Yes, they did. They saved our lives, that's for sure. That's an image I will never, ever forget.
Yeah.
Well, I can say I'm honored to be joining a crew of such established warriors and adventurers. It's truly an honor.
It's not without its sacrifices.
Well, sure, it's extremely dangerous in your line of work.
But we have hope. We have a lead. And we might even be able to bring our friend back.
I'm sure he would appreciate that.
Yeah.
Sure isn't the same without him. It's actually too quiet without both of them. It's weird not seeing them both around, Shalmir and Euliris.
Well, I hope to one day meet both of them.
I hope you do too. Euliris is out there somewhere, apparently. But
Maybe we'll run into him.
I don't know how soon he's gonna be around. And Shalmir, I know exactly where Shalmir.
Ashes shift in anger.
Yeah.
So what's next for the crew of... Do you guys have a name?
Oh, not really.
No, they really don't. They're just a pain in the ass.
Right.
We've bounced around a couple names. Nothing's really stuck yet.
Huh.
Yeah, didn't you guys... Were you joking or were you serious about that kneecapper business?
Oh God, don't remind me.
Yes, that we heard.
I was not a fan of that.
Yes. It was strange when villains kept... Well, villains is a strong word. We'll say impeders of the law kept showing up with missing their kneecaps.
Missing their kneecaps.
Yeah,
not really missing, but they were just... But the bigger guys, they kind of focused that area with their very large weapons.
Shattering, stabbing through.
It doesn't.
shattering.
So I mean, your knees don't last long when they're focused like that.
Leaving a mark, so to speak.
Yeah, I was
Deterred crime for a bit. Well, it certainly did. People were walking around with knee pads, some of them. And then we arrested them because then we had a good idea that they were working with somebody that could cause them to lose their knees. The tattoos gave them away, though. That was
People do like their knees.
So I agree with that.
I have found that much in all of my time.
Yeah.
On
They
this
are
earth.
not one of the parts that comes back.
No. Hmm. Remind me, did we have a plan here? I'm sorry.
Oh,
Long travel
yes.
days. Quick.
Well, I mean, we have a few different options. I really want to try and get our friend back, Michelle, and we have a lead, but right now we're kind of stuck because we accomplished one goal, but the person we had to return to is apparently unconscious right now.
And severely injured.
Yeah, and also thousands of miles away.
Oh, it's one teleport isn't too bad.
Yeah.
Teleport.
Yeah.
Oh, I like the sound of that.
Yeah, just recently
Makes
we
things
signed a
easy.
treaty with the North, and it's
Really?
high hopes. Yes, this Northern Alliance has been formed between Waterdeep and the North.
Oh,
We
wow.
are sending troops back and forth, and some of these...
I know that other group from the mountain was trying to do something about the North.
It was them again. They're the ones that saved the North, and what I thought was the final stand when I contacted you guys or sent those black box messages. They've been off trying to find storm giants. You all said they were amidst the trials. You let me know that. So I imagine they're still trying to figure all that out. Or trying to mobilize troops. Some of the companions are a bit, how you say, chilling, as they dabble in necromancy, which makes me
Oh.
question who we've aligned ourselves with. But if Brian, the King of the North, has it all under her watch, I would feel a lot safer with it all. It's even lizard folk have shown up here and are helping out with the North, which is strange. Not the Madden ones either. Again, companions of... you met, again, Eve and Cain's companions.
Yeah, Eve
fought
is
the
actually the
mountain.
one. Yeah. She set us on this quest to obtain an object. And we did. But now we don't really know what to do with it.
Did you show me that object already?
No. And I don't think it's something I want to pull out here in the...
Fair enough.
We should probably only reveal it in pretty secure location.
Maybe Blackstaff could take a look at it. L'Oreal would probably want
She
to know.
she might be able to discern more from it, figure out what it can do. Because I don't understand how this is. I mean, I tried, but my knowledge is not enough to discern how this can help bring our friend back.
Well, best bet is with Blackstaff and her ancient knowledge.
We can try it tomorrow if you want.
Yeah, let's try it in the morning. We
Can't
can-
hurt. Certainly, she's not
walk
taking
it over.
calls now. Closing in on midnight around here. You see Fi. Yes, I think I'll probably head out about now. Do you want me to come with? And she's like, it's fine. I think I need some time to be alone with my thoughts. I will see you at the usual places, Salem. It was wonderful meeting all of you, and I will probably see more of you soon. Good night.
Yeah.
Fi walks out and leaves. As I'm still hanging around a little bit longer with you guys. Yeah, but I believe that read-off character was spotted inside Minna, and that was that was the lead we talked about.
Oh, we ran into him briefly.
Yeah, and that he might be able to help with that Eve character.
Oh.
Ari mentioned that when he pulled out one of his potions from this map maker and stabilized Eve up in the north. It stands to reason that maybe he knows more about it. And as far as we know, he was map making around Minna, as he was trying to make sure he knew all the nooks and crannies of the world. And
Minna.
yeah,
That's definitely a nook.
it is, and it's troubling.
Interesting place.
To say the least, the slaver state. And Ivana disappeared as well. So,
Troubled times we live in.
it almost feels like 5 years. It was simpler back then when there was an evil demon creature haunting everybody and trying to murder the world. That seemed like the least of our problems in comparison.
Demons are simple.
Yes.
People can be complicated.
I like that.
I agree with that.
Especially such secretive and devious groups.
Yeah, demons are dumb.
Not necessarily dumb, but
I mean, just like as a concept, like not they can be intelligent, but like
yes.
yeah.
They're usually pretty straightforward.
Your cup just falls over and water spills on you, Tyrian.
Oh, sorry, whoops. No,
Ugh.
clean myself up.
You're falling asleep or you're getting clumsy.
I'm a little tired.
Why don't we all call it a night, you know?
I'd say so. If any of you
It's
have
getting late.
any questions for me, or if you need anything, please let me know. I promise at the end of this war, we're all going to have a feast like you can't imagine with our compatriots from the mountain. They promised me, so we will see them again once we win this ridiculous conflict. In the meantime, Ignatius, if you're running with this group, you probably will have the blessing of the Grey Hand in time. So I do look forward, if you have interest, into joining our ranks. As long as everything we see is on the up and up, which it sounds like it will be.
Oh, from what I've seen, you seem like a stand-up organization that's trying to do good in the world, and that's the type of group that I would love to be a part of.
That is the sole purpose. I left a very simple life to try and do just that. Do something to help others out and make a difference. Do something worthwhile. Be good. Regardless, have a wonderful... As he turns and heads out the door in the quiet hours of the morning.
So, do you guys have assigned bedrooms?
Oh,
What's the
yeah.
situation here?
Let's think. I'll take him on a little tour of the house.
Sure.
Do we have any spare rooms?
You do.
Well, we have the whole hotel. We have a bunch of rooms.
Okay, so next to Yavanna, there's a bedroom. There's
Yep.
a small one.
Oh.
We have
If
Ulyrus.
you go in the map section, Ryan, there's the layout of the house.
Oh, the house?
Yep.
Oh, shit.
And then in addition to that, there's also the study, which was 2 levels, and there's also the forge, which also had the bedding of Shalmir in there as well. So Shalmir's
So
room
there's
is
this
barely
one that
used.
hasn't. Nobody's used this. We have a couple we have a couple rooms where people aren't using them at this time, so you can make yourself at home there for the time being.
This is a general layout of the manor. Yours is a little different, but since this is the source material, I figured this is easy enough to use to get the majority of the house. You guys probably have a little more room and a little more space. It's probably a little bigger than what it shows on the second and third floors, having more bedrooms. But other than that, it's pretty spot on. Discord maps. Are you having trouble finding it?
Oh, I got it. I got it. All right. Waterdeep.
As he takes you on a tour throughout the house, you see the paintings of Yavanna of all of the people you have now called friends, the people that you now run as companions, some that you don't recognize. The one that they refer to as Shalmir and Eulyris are also depicted in portraits and paintings throughout the house. There's clay models in here of people we recognize and don't. Greenhouse and plants. It looks like, I would say, the vegetation and greenery has grown out quite a bit under the management of Yavanna. It's very artistic looking, the place, and some rooms even have vinery on the floor all the way that you can't even see the boards anymore. It's definitely more like a greenhouse in certain sections besides the literal greenhouse that is making gardens and has ingredients up there that's used for the food inside the tavern.
Oh, very nice place.
It's a nice little home. It was a bit of a fixer-upper at first, but we put some work into it.
Oh, well, I guess I can take this spare room over here since no one's using it.
Okay.
You open up and you see a very plain and empty room. Ignatius, simple bed in there. It looks to be about queen-sized. There's a fireplace that's connected to, basically, there's a fireplace built on one side of this, on both sides of Yavanna's old bedroom. If you're taking the spare next to Yavanna on the map, is that where? Okay.
Yep.
So that shares a fireplace. There is a wall separating to the sides, but it goes up the same chute to the top of the mansion. Multiple fireplaces throughout the manor. And it's yours to make a home. It's pretty empty in the sense that there isn't much greenery inside here, but the walls itself are covered in paintings of mountains. There's just lots of, think Skyrim mountains and clouds all painted all along one side of the wall. Yavanna never got around to painting the rest of it.
I like mountains. I go to sleep.
All right. Tyrian, you go to bed?
I do. I do take some time and just kind of meditate and kind of focus on my energies.
Okay.
And just kind of reach into the magic within me. And I'm just going to use this as an excuse to say I take a moment, I kind of focus on my magics, and I'm going to call this the moment when I swap out my 2 cantrips.
Sure. It really, if it makes
it really doesn't matter, but like,
hey, if you feel good about it, this is your game. Good.
I feel like there should be at least something of an explanation for why.
Deep down, you start going through the arcane nature of some of the bases inside you, and as you begin to concentrate and think about their uses and their value and how when they first became prevalent to you, that they might have been useful, but you were so young that wasn't the case. So you try and mold these ideas of your heritage, and you think through different ancestors that wielded different cantrips, and you're able to pull from those memories and that legacy into you at the cost of the ones you have, some of their cantrips from the past.
Cool. And then I go to sleep.
And as you go to sleep, you lay down in a wet bed. Just soaked.
Is it urine?
I do sniff the bed.
Give me a What? Wisdom check.
Will this be a wisdom versus like a nature?
I was thinking nature initially, or even medicine, but I just
Okay,
just do
it's
wisdom.
still a 18.
18. It's water.
Okay.
Looks like someone dumped a bucket of water on your bed.
I'm gonna take all my stuff off, just
Yep.
like ream it out, bring it downstairs, lay it out to dry. I'll go steal the sheets on Ulyrus's bed.
Sure. Yep. Hey,
Change your mind.
he ain't using it. As you come back to your door and you're trying to get in your room,
And before I open the door, I open slowly, thinking there's a bucket on the top.
door's locked.
Ah, you motherfucker.
Cut to Ignatius.
Yep. Tullius with his long tongue, Charnu like a fucking dog, or Hana, this sleeping angel that's a fucking murder hobo. She's like, she looks so innocent.
I'll just kind of say out to the air. All right, fine. I'm sorry for what I said.
You hear a click.
I open the door.
It opens.
All right. I go in.
And you get your sleep. You guys awake the next morning to the sounds of marching. You can hear what would be probably familiar to Ignatius as a small battalion of troops marching through the streets. Otherwise, you can still hear the noises of town, the laughter of children in the street playing up early in the morning, and parents screaming at their kids to get out of the street and stuff like that. Not in the way that, like, oh no, something's wrong, but like, we have stuff to do today. Come on now, get back in line. A time you were more used to in the past during peacetime. The town isn't completely overwhelmed by war, and that's something that is refreshing for especially Ignatius, who has known nothing but war for quite a long time now, minus little excursions here and there during his downtime travels. In the morning, none of your compatriots are down there with you all as you get down the stairs. As Liff has some breakfast for you, some patrons are in here, and you actually notice an uptick in people. Ignatius from last night, Tyrian, it's starting to look a little more usual from what you were used to before you guys left, and you can see all the people being like looking around at you and mainly ignoring Ignatius, but they're eyeballing Tyrian, and you can hear whispers. Matt Mercer's over in his booth, cheery as can be.
I gotta pull my breakfast and go sit next to Matt Mercer.
Awesome. As you sit down next to him, he's just like, ah! You're
Good morning,
alive!
Matt. Yep.
All right, so I was eavesdropping on most of your conversations last night. They were terrific, and they gave me
Of course
so
you were.
many wonderful ideas, and I absolutely love it. I don't even know where to begin, but like, are you okay? Is everything all right?
We're weary. We did. I mean, what do you know?
He knows generally, basically, the stories that you've told, some of your travels, because now he's heard Salem recount it with you guys, the long dinner table. He was there with you guys during that, I believe. I talked about that.
Yeah.
But he kind of went up to his own thing when everybody went to bed and be private. So he has a general gist about the adventures, and now it's more or less just like, where are you guys now? Like, where's the headspace of everybody at? He's been keeping tabs on the bar. He's been trying to keep life into it, holding events. He's done like slam poetry events. He's done reading events that weren't very successful.
Oh my god.
He has tried to host game nights inside here with some success. Some came. That was good. We got a couple regulars out of that. A Tyrian came a lot, and that was exciting. He's made a friendship with that individual, but it's been on the outs with individuals that come in and out. Ivana was one of his friends that he would describe things and she would paint him for him, and he has commissions up the wazoo, and some of which that are all inside his booth. There's even like a name for his booth for like the underneath all in beautiful script from Yavanna. It's like I had a good name for it. Darn it! What was it? It was an alliteration on Mercer. I'll just call it the Mercer Corner for right now.
Mercer Man.
The what? The Mercer Man.
No, the Mercer Marquis.
The Mercer Marquis.
Oh my
Sure,
God.
we'll put that down there. But yeah, I'm just trying to tell stories with Lift, and I've been writing my books. I've had all your adventures have really started fueling these stories I have for these characters and things I find so. I see so much in all of you, and I extrapolate into this beautiful world I'm creating. And then there's plenty of rumors percolating about. Ignatius, are you joining Tyrian for breakfast with this character?
Might as well.
All right, you sit down. What are you dressed as? Do you not have your helmet on when you're normal? You're not carrying it around all the time? Like, is that off to the side, or how do you leisurely hang around?
I'll probably...
I've
That's a good
definitely
question.
changed into a new pair of clothes.
Yeah.
And not my war-torn travel clothes.
Yeah.
I'd say I still have my armor on, but I don't wear the helmet. I just kind of carry it.
Sure.
And I'll probably like have it like on my knee or on the table or this whatever.
Gotcha. And your
Wherever there's
armor
room.
all looks beautiful. Everything is because of the Valkyrie giving you the one over with all the lightnings and the runes on
Oh,
it.
that's right.
It is in pristine condition. So you're this beautiful silver and blue,
I
which
gotta show it off.
oddly resembles enemy colors, to be fair. Those are the Cobalt's colors, but
Maybe we should change this.
but there are still etches of the old armor. You can see there of the classic Skolberheim and elfish design versus Skolberheim's more of man design and utilitarianism. And classic, you would think European knights are more what they look like. And you see, as you sit down, it's like, oh, so Ignatius, you're the newest one part of their group.
That's correct. What's your name?
The name's Matthew, as he reaches out his hands to shake your hand.
Pleased to meet your acquaintance.
Pleased to make yours as well. My
He
Lord
is
and Savior,
our-
Wizards of the Coast, made me a real thing in this world. It's just a
He
side
is-
note. This is killing me. This is ridiculous, but it's also
He is our resident rumor monger, and
There's
I
a
guess
story out there.
number one fan.
I'm here to hear it. Well, you know,
You
fandoms are
kind
one
of
thing.
live at this bar, basically.
Well, it's nice, okay? And I do have some housing here Yavanna set me up with, so that's pretty nice as well. So, you know, doing some work, getting out there, helping out, working on my novels. So,
A master of rumors can always be useful.
certainly, you hear all sorts of things trickle through from all curious people, and those that you might cast down or see as undesirables, other nobles do, I see as fun people to talk to. You get to know them, and they're really pretty cool. They know pretty crazy things.
Who would have thought? People who aren't nobles are just as interesting. And sometimes more so. How amazing.
He laughs.
I don't know. You haven't met our friend Nevermember.
Yeah, he's a handful for you, Ignatius. If he ever shows up, let me tell you, you'll he might be the exception to the rule of interesting nobles.
Oh, well. Do you think, how close are you with him? If he heard you were in town, would he come over?
I mean, we could always.
I'm surprised he wasn't here last night. I'll be honest.
Well, he's had some trouble. Inside his crypts, his family crypts, people have been. Well, there's a military presence there, which is making things really weird. So.
In his family crypt?
Yeah. So that's
Is
got a lot
there
of
a
his attention.
necromancer in town?
Well, I don't think so. More like a pocket dimension. As he whispers really quietly to you.
What?
He looks over to Tyrian.
Not quite yet.
Just weird happenstance.
The only reason we're not honest about it right now, bit of a sensitive topic.
Hey.
And
trust is earned.
I'm your judge.
I understand.
It's not necessarily my secret to give. I'd say that's more under Salem's jurisdiction at the very least.
Exactly. Yes, indeed.
No, I think those are all not telling secrets that are not yours to tell is a honorable thing to do.
Right it is. Right it is. That is a nice train of thought as he jots a note down in one of his sheets. He just slides it in one of his books. Was there anything you'd like to know? Any questions you might have about the world since you haven't been around for so long?
I think for now I just want to have a day out.
The day is yours. It's a beautiful day in Waterdeep. Summer's just beginning. It's pretty darn exciting.
I'm excited.
Kringlefest just wrapped up not even 2 weeks ago. It was a wonderful Kringlefest. There was some strange rumors of strange things going on in the streets. But no one could really prove anything, so I think it was one of those Kringlefest dreams people end up having.
Someone had too much Kringle nog.
Yes.
It happens. Well, disappointed we missed Kringlefest, but
it was a
I'm sure we'll do fine.
It is something.
There's a small little old man in town who just keeps causing problems, and he keeps swearing by it. Keeps swearing by some crazy events that went on in Kringlefest. I think he's might be getting out of.
Come on, don't tell me you believe in Kringle.
No. Oh. Psst. Like I believe in Kringlefest like the Tooth Robber and the Easter Bunny. Come on. Come on. No. These are fairy tales that are made up to entertain. But it is interesting enough that he was belligerent enough. He got locked up probably for, I think his sentence was about 2 weeks. So he might be getting out sometime soon.
Well, how do you feel about going on an adventure? I feel like stopping by that old magic shop. Is it still around?
Yes.
Adam of the West?
I believe so, but somebody might be taking care of it. I think Adam had to step out for a time. He said there was something he had to do.
Oh. Okay. It's our resident magic shop. We might be able to pick up some interesting gear with our new wealth.
Well, always I've been itching to do some adventuring. I was sitting around in Old Town for a little too long. The desert takes its toll.
Yeah, and this is definitely not a desert.
A lot better, in my opinion.
Yeah, more interesting. All right. I say I stand up. Let's get on our way.
Cool. You, as you guys exit, you finish up breakfast and you have a wonderful conversation with Matthew. You give the nod to Liff and you guys head out into the day. It's a nice, warm, about 78 degrees out, a brief wind coming through. You can hear the distant stamping of more formations throughout the streets of soldiers, but the people are out and about enjoying the day. Water trickling through the cobblestone as some people are watering their plants or cleaning up their storefronts. It's alive and well, Waterdeep. It would be hard to even tell that you're in warring times. The day is yours to seek out wherever you'd like to go.
So just so you know, I assumed there was bacon somewhere. I took a bacon for the road.
Good. Yes, you did. With ease. There was plenty of bacon left.
Tossed a silver piece.
So I'm gonna, at a leisurely pace, make my way towards there.
Okie dokie. Going through the town, you see kids playing games, playing made-up war. You can see a little, even like play going on, recounting the events of Mansoon being destroyed, and you can see all these actors on stage, one being Blackstaff. Cassandra is being destroyed by Mansoon as he's cackling in this overly done and completely over-the-top way. It's this very... As you imagine, sort of Game of Thrones-esque. You remember when they did that in that season?
Yeah.
Very dramatic,
very similar,
dramatized.
Very dramatized of the good guys and the bad guys. With everything Blackstaff does, everyone's cheering and kids are huffing and hollering. Anytime Mansoon does literally anything, there's boos and screams, and sometimes they have to be reminded, like, shh, let the actor act. As you guys continue past that, you can see Adam of the West's shop, and with all of his mist coming out and these interesting items and things going in one end, you see a creature go in one end and come out different the other as it keeps swirling around. You guys enter the store.
So, interesting thing about this shop, the owner, Adam of the West, he actually is a changeling.
Ah.
A shapeshifter.
You don't see too many of those.
No. And so I'm a little sad that we'll miss him. I was wondering what new characters he'd show off this time.
That's definitely sure to keep things interesting.
Yes.
You guys enter the shop.
Step into the shop.
Door opens. Ding, 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 ding. You guys walk into here and you see these birds whiz by, these paper birds, as they fly around the store and bubbles go off, and you can see all these little golems walking around, and they seem to be eating things around the store, and then they're appearing in other places and shelves. There's books lining the walls and certain display cases, one by the table, and a curtain in the back that stops you from looking all the way in the back. Little displays here and there, and you can see tons of toys that seem to be the main item here for children. There seems to be a shift in focus towards the utility of items for people in Waterdeep, and more trying to get towards the children of Waterdeep and what they might want, sort of getting their minds off of what might be going in the world. So it's like a KB Toys back in the day, doubling as a magical enchantment shop. Behind the counter, you see this big, burly orc with these wide shoulders, and you see him go in. He's like, "Welcome to Adam Tyrian. Oh my goodness, I haven't seen you in years."
Is this who I think it is?
It is your boss, Grit. Yep, your former boss. Well, what? I can't believe you're here.
Oh, what are you doing here? This is the magic shop.
Yeah, it's one of my other jobs I've picked up over the years. The other one, I tried new callings. Whittling wasn't doing well for me, and tried the library. Books are delicate. Didn't work out. Then I became like a chamberlain here, and I was managing the household for this Adam of the West for a while, and he stepped out of town, and here I am managing my own magic shop. Don't know a lick of magic, but here I am.
Look at you, Doc Warden turned salesman.
Hey, I turn a mean profit here. The children love it, so.
Well, we are in the market for some items.
Oh, well, we do have items of your age group. We made sure to keep some left over on his trip, but I do have a large catalog of toys I can offer you all as well, if you are interested.
Does he not really deal with the magic items anymore?
No, he certainly does. He just had... As he takes this note out, and you see him pull on these glasses that are way too small for his massive demeanor. He's got his, orc teeth sticking out. Until further notice, you will be running Adam of the West enchantments. Do your best. I've left magical items for people who don't want to buy the toys. Continue making the toys. I'll be back as soon as possible. I have a job. See, it's like he's getting right towards the end. This is like on a half-ripped napkin, too. It looks like sloppily, just very casually, like, this should be on way more important documentation. I'll be back. It's important. Love, Adam.
Oh, okay. Well, I'm looking for some magical items.
Well, I can see if I can help you out.
I think I'm interested. Let's. Well, first things first. Do I get a friend's discount?
I would give it to you if you didn't know how to read a ledger. So no. He has not given me permission to barter. As he said, you do not understand magic. That's why he had to label everything.
Okay.
But with that said, I do know how to manage, obviously, for all the years we were in there, and I am meticulous at inventory, so there's something I know. It's if we have it or not.
Okay. Well, I am interested in something, I don't know, a wand or a ring, something, items that might be able to give me either a single casting of a spell or a lasting bonus, or a single casting of a spell that recharges, or like a lasting bonus, something along those.
We might have something in there. We have. Let me take a look in the back and see what items we have in stock here. Adam did take a lot of that with him because it sounded like he was going somewhere dangerous. He rummages through the back, and you guys see all sorts of contraptions and toys interacting with each other. These golems setting up in these intricate displays that children can play with. Some even come inside the shop, and you see them come to the golem, and they're like, "Hi, Big Jaw!" And they just go right towards it, just start playing as a little game is set up of knocking down these balls that go through basically Rube Goldberg machines, and then the golem called Big Jaw starts resetting it up every time. They cheer as it goes up and down. Okay. Then let me roll a couple more here. You two want to roll percentage dice too?
Sure.
And then tell me a number 1 through 100.
71.
Okay.
13.
Okay. I'll get to them in just a moment. I figured this is more fun this way, that instead of me making bullshit up or just searching D&D Beyond for the same stuff, I'm doing random tables every time you come into town for magical item shops. That's basically re-roll something. Same with magical potions. This is something I've seen other DMs suggest, and I would like to implement it. Or just like you come in town and you're like, I have a ton of money, and you're like, I buy 500 potions. It's like, well, they don't have 500 potions, all right? There's only so many potions in town. So this way with magic items, we don't end up giving you a storm giant spell in the fucking, when you're level 8. So yeah.
Nice.
Let's see if Well, we do got one ring from what you rolled there, Tyrian, as he comes out. Oh, shit. Oh, no, I got that. Yeah. Okay. For a second, I thought it said ring of gargantuan size, and I was like, no!
Massive Tyrian!
Yeah, I was like, oh, no! It's gonna be worse than the Titan Stone gauntlets. All right. Well, we do have this one ring in the back. Adam had it made. It's called the Ring of the Grammarian. Once a week, it says the wearer can, of this ring, as he shows it to you, and it has all these like rune inscriptions on it, and it has this beautiful, elegant script. It can alter an item of enemy's equipment to make its appearance and function different. But with the intentions of whoever uses it help change about how far it can push a wearer or an enemy's equipment. So say you put it on, and then you think about it real hard. Say, I don't know, that giant sword you have by your side. I'd think about the material of it, and maybe it's made of rubber. And then I could make it made of rubber, and it's not going to hurt me. It'd be a good way to defend yourself against some of the baddies out there in the world.
How much does that run?
Right now, this ring is looking about 2,000 gold pieces. Anything in particular you're looking for? Well, I didn't catch your name.
Ignatius. It's good to meet you.
Nice to meet you, too.
Yeah.
It's nice to see another orc-like being. Half orc or full orc?
Half.
Ah, there you go. You got lucky.
He's one of our new compatriots.
Wonderful. Wonderful. Yeah, I can tell you're lacking your normal crew.
Oh, they're hanging out at the house.
I don't blame them.
Letting him sleep in.
Good for them. That's the life I want to live. Sleeping in. That's why I left.
I mean, I currently have pretty good items now. I can't really focus on anything too crazy.
Well, at the very least, I got what I brought out here for you all. I can read it, see if anything catches your fancy.
Sure.
Here, I have a bracelet. He calls it the Bracelet of Bonding. Ooh. A set of bracelets
I'm bonding.
that when one is broken, the other will immediately break as well. When one is mended, the other mends itself. This was said to be created by a brother who was going off to war for his younger brother staying at home. This was so the older brother would know if things got bad at home. If the bracelet snapped, he promised to come home no matter what. It's the tale that goes along with this. It's a good safety measure you could use to know if your friends are in danger. Another item we have here on the ledger, as he has his glasses, he was readjusting it, gives a little lick, and he's looking down. It's called Mesamoon's Instruments. Knife and fork set, get this, made of mithril. I can't imagine the cost-benefit analysis of melting it down for silverware, but we live in a vast, wide, and interesting world. It has small runes embedded as he takes it out and shows you in the handles, and you can see these blue carvings of runes inside there. When this fork is inserted into food, as long as it's not living material, it allows this knife to cut through it with little to no resistance. It was said to be made as a gift for a wife to her husband so that she wouldn't waste time swaying through her cooking like a log. They had an interesting relationship, supposedly. Hard Times donated this mithril to Mr. Adam of the West. Item number 35 here is Fletcher's Mitt. Now, Fletcher is a notorious craftsman out in the ranks of Minna. He loves to make all sorts of interesting weaponry contraptions. This one here is a green glove that allows anyone who uses it to avoid or catch a projectile. It makes you a little harder to hit and against anybody trying to throw stuff at you, and you can actually catch it if you are at the utmost of focus when using these type of magical items. Fletcher's a tricky one, and he's outfitted many of the soldiers out there in Minna with it, which has proven to be a pain in the ass in this here war. I got 4 more over here on the list. Let me slide over to the my ledger here. Is this the one? Let's see. This might be the one I said. No, that's not the one. No. What did I do with it? Oh, there you are. It pulls it up. There we go. So we'll go in numerical order. This is the Book of Epic Interest. It's said to keep you absolutely captivated as long as you read it. This one's not. It's on the Rage for Parents. Let me tell you, we can't keep this one in stock. We have quite a lot of these. It seems to be one of the most requested enchantments for children. 24 on our list. This is a vial. Shakes it around a little bit. You can hear a little clinking inside the water. Vial nightshade, and not like your typical poison nightshade. This is for when things get a little whack, all right? When drunk, it puts the body into a deep coma and injects the spirit. According to Adam, this is pretty ridiculous. You can now roam around incorporeal. How do you say it?
Incorporeal.
Thank you. Incorporeal. Until you return to your body. There's a chance each hour that some mishap may befall your body. You might get possessed. You know, that's not great. But the coma lasts for about 3 days at most. What just happened? Discord just closed? Why? Discord, why? Why you like that?
How long does the coma last?
Up to 3 days. So you could use this against, enemies. Spike the drinks, something like that. If you need something magical to give them the old loop-de-doo. Troll wax. It's pretty tacky. He just holds out like a little thing of paste of it out of a, when you would like undo cookies. It's just basically a blanket inside there. If anybody tastes it, oh my god! If anybody tastes this, they can't taste anything for the rest of the week. If they don't have a strong enough constitution. So that could be a really good prank or something. I don't know. You could be creative. And he puts it down.
How much does a little bit of that cost?
A little bit of that cost. It's about 10 gold pieces for a smidgen.
I'm looking for something for like 1 or 2, maybe 2 servings.
2 servings of that? Yeah, no, I can do that. As he like cuts off a little bit. It looks like paste, but then it's got even like a hardiness to it. He cuts it off to the side, puts it on a little scale, gets the glasses, reaffirms them. Yeah, it's about, and he has the little dials, and he's moving the stuff classic like we used to do in school, moving them around to get the like grams on there just right. That'll be about 21 gold pieces for all that. Pretty tough to get troll wax, so that's kind of one of those things. We actually got it from one of the trolls that wandered out of the old Mad Mage's entrance in the Yawning Portal. That was a hoot. Really should probably pass.
Is this an actual item or a made-up item?
Made-up item.
Okay.
I don't do D&D items. They're not fun. Some of them are really fun. Some of them are made for balance. These are fun. The last one is, I'll let you see. And he comes over and puts this little box, and he opens up the box, and you see this little golden looking frog sit down there and just looks at you, and you hear this like brrr. It looks at you, blinks its eyes.
Hello?
It sings a lot of songs. That's one of the songs it sings. I don't understand it. It doesn't talk, but it sings. This is what he calls the singing frog. You know, you'd probably get a good round of drinks. You guys own a bar, though. At least one of you do, I know. So, you know, it's a good gag. It knows 8 songs, so that's kind of a big win.
Indeed it is.
So there you are. Oh, and there's also this one called the Stick of the Titan.
Wait, what?
You see a normal, like, stick you would find off a tree. It looks really, really lame. It looks like a pretty typical stick.
What does the stick
What does this do?
Adam was just experimenting with his enchantments, and he wanted to see how powerful he could make a stick. There you go.
It's powerful.
Yeah, no, it really is. It deals some serious damage for a stick. For a stick.
Like a magic wand, or do you hit people with it?
You hit people with it, but it's only good for like a hit or two.
Oh, okay. Oh my god.
What can you make a stick?
Let's see.
Make a intelligence check to see if you can determine how powerful this stick is.
I want to find this out. 11.
11. Tough to tell. The stick is glowing though, like in Skyrim, where it has that like clearly enchantment thing going around it. What about
Is
you?
that intelligence or arcana?
7.
7? Yeah, no, it's just intelligence. Same, it's glowing, so glowy stuff, you know, not great. Not
Glowy.
great. Very powerful.
As a counterpoint,
Yeah.
how do you feel about buying items of a magical nature?
I have permission to buy some things. It depends on what you have, and mainly if it's magical.
Definitely magical.
That's a good start.
It's just not something anybody, I or the rest of my group, can utilize
What is it?
reasonably. I pull out my 2 scrolls.
Nope. Ah.
One is a scroll of telepathic bond.
Mm-hmm.
Pretty rare, actually. That's a pretty powerful spell. It's 5th level, by the way.
Oh.
And then this one is the Ray of Enfeeblement, which is a 2nd level scroll.
We do have funds for buying back scrolls and enchantments because we can de-enchant and learn these things, or at least Adam can. Looking here at some of the listings and what we'll be willing to pay for these items. Looks like Adam's happy. He's at a 5th level.
Yes.
For that 5th level there, we could probably pay you about 600 gold pieces for that one. And what was the enfeeblement?
Ray of Enfeeblement.
That's a strong one there. That is a spell that I believe
It's a
Adam
2nd level.
may know. So I believe he wouldn't be as keen on it. And here in his notes, looking at that, he'd probably run you about 300 gold pieces for that one. So we're looking at about
Total of
650 and 300 for about 950 between the two of them.
Okay, I think that's reasonable. Unfortunately, I don't learn spells through studying them, so I can't really utilize either.
Fair enough. At this time, I think I'm only going to buy one to make Adam make sure I'm not screwing with his funds. So whichever one you'd rather sell, that's the one I'll be happy to buy off you.
Let's go with the telepathic, the stronger one, the telepathic bond.
You got it. So I'll take telepathic bond, and that was the 650.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's something that he could be using. Possibly.
That one's actually a pretty solid spell. I literally can't use.
Yeah. He might be able to turn this into something, maybe on a helmet he could engrave and enchant with, or I'm sure he'll get creative, maybe in a weapon. That'd be cool to see how he infuses
actually.
That. He's already taken the money.
No.
Yeah.
I'm curious about a commission, actually.
Sure.
With regard to that one. That one actually, it's a pretty powerful spell.
Sure can be.
I'll have to talk to Adam himself.
Yeah, that'd probably be best. Get a time frame if you want something like this and carve.
Let him know that I was the one that brought that spell, and I can ask for that commission.
He pulls out inkwell and writes down a little bit on one of his notes he keeps down there. He has excellent handwriting, as you remember as well, being the quartermaster of that all the trade and heading it all out. His ledgers were always impeccable, and they continue to be. Well, that's terrific. Well, is there anything else I can do for you fine gentlemen? Gentle creatures?
I don't know about gentle.
Still curious about items, but there's only the ring that really caught my attention.
Yeah?
I'm not sure if I'm looking at that, just because it's so infrequent I'll be able to use it.
Yeah, that's the drawback on that one.
Alright, I think I'll hold off for the time being.
Sure. Always feel free to check back within a week. Anywhere from 2 weeks to a month, we normally get refreshed stocks. Even when Adam's out, he likes to just airdrop me a bag full of who knows what since he's been gone. He's been gone about 4 weeks now, so I hope to see him back sooner or later.
Alright. Actually, do you have potions?
Yeah, of course.
I could use a couple potions.
It's your lucky day. Adam made quite a few because he knew he'd be gone for so long. We have... Oh, just saw you. Potion of healing. We have 4 of those in stock. Greater healing. We got 3 of those in stock.
How much for 2 of the medium graders?
Greater healings. What's the highest healing potion? Is it greater?
Superior.
Superior, yeah, no, it's a grading. Yeah, so it's 100 gold pieces.
Oh, wait, no, there's a supreme.
Yeah, that's what I thought. So it's greater healing, 100 gold pieces is what we have in our ledger per, and 50 for the normal healing potions.
Okay, I think I will take 2 of the graders and 2 of the regulars.
You got it. That's 300 gold pieces total. You make the exchange and the bargains. Any for you, my burly half-orc friend?
I'll take 1 of each. Why not?
That'll be 150 gold pieces if you don't mind, sir.
Here you go, my friend.
Thank you very much. Strong grip there. I like that. As he shakes your hand after making the deal, you can add a healing potion and a greater healing potion to your inventory.
Mm-hmm.
Reasonable prices inside the city.
Yeah. That's very reasonable. Greater healing.
It's one of the tables. Thank your Christmas gift, Xanathar's Guide to Everything. It's helping me with some stuff here.
Greater healing.
All right.
Well, if there's nothing else, you guys head out of the staff of Adam of the West's shop and back into the streets of Waterdeep. We It's about 10:30, so we have about 30 minutes or less to do whatever you guys want to do for the remainder of the episode, of the session.
Alrighty. What else to do?
It's plenty. Just let your imagination run wild. Is there anything in particular your characters want to do, explore, find out, take part in? There are plenty of options out there during the...
I'd probably continue just to wander the city and bug Ignatius about his past.
Sure. You guys can
delve deeper.
Go for it. You guys, as you start walking through into the other districts and Tyrian starts explaining more about the town, as you start to familiarize yourself, Ignatius starts to get the hang of it. Actually, give me a roll. Give me an intelligence roll, Ignatius, to see if a history one, if you can start putting it together, some of the streets of...
history?
Yeah, of Waterdeep and the layout.
14.
14. Well, given your patrols that you would do through Skulberheim, one of the largest cities in the entire planet, Waterdeep is nothing to scoff at, but you're picking it up pretty quickly, what he's able to show you. Obviously, what he's not showing you, you can't know, but you're feeling more and more comfortable on the streets, especially as you see all the forces in and out of different areas. In one of the courtyards, in one of the nicer sections of the city, let me just look at the map real quick. On the castle ward, you guys hang out in, you can see plants and vegetation in here. It's basically a little park area, and kids are playing the most recent games available to each and every one of them. That would be this hoop game that you see, where they're trying to land hoops onto other kids, and then once the hoops land on the kids, please, sound mixer, just come up real quick for me. So we can just sublam and subloom. Okay, turn it down a little bit. They toss the circles onto the kids, and then they're trying to get it on certain limbs that are hanging off, and the more you get onto them, the more excited they seem to get, and whoever can hold out the longest ends up taking turns and switching with them. There seems to be a reward impacting it, as well as they throw some of the items you've seen from Adam of the West's place, some of those paper birds that go through and try and throw off the balance of the people. It's sort of like this interesting game of they're trying to disperse the weight on the person, so they have to stand in a way where their limbs are exposed and try and get like one arm completely heavy with hoops that they have and throw them off balance, and then rotate to see who can have the most hoops on them. It's a mix of like Jenga and horseshoes, I would say, I guess, with some other elements of games touched in there. The area is beautiful. There's benches out. You see a wonderful diversity that you're not used to. And Skulberheim was mainly hardcore elves, an elf population, half-elf population, and humans. Here you see all sorts of creatures. Tieflings still being very rare in that sense. Not many besides Tyrian are here. But you do see occasional orcs, even bugbears walk their way through here on occasions.
Wow.
Yep. They seem to be accompanied by half-orcs, and you can see humans obviously coming through here, elves, half-elves, dwarves, halflings, gnomes, all seem to take part inside here, skewing towards a more demographic of humans inside the area. Griffins occasionally flying by overhead with patrols, and there's like little pop-up stands inside the park selling all sorts of warm foods. It seems like people are making what would be the equivalent of churros in some areas. You can smell the cinnamon flavors, and popcorn on another one. I mean, just heating up corn is such an easy win for so many, and that kettle corn smell is hitting you guys as well inside the area. And across there you have all sorts of drinks. It seems like there used to be more like lemonade and flavored drinks, but it appears that they're only really selling water at this point, or very maybe like sweetened water. As you guys are free to be sitting and chilling in the park, taking in this day.
So,
Yes.
any family?
My mother is in Skoberheim. Only child.
What does she do?
Well, I out of character didn't come up with a backstory for my parents.
Yep. So make it up. Yep, I knew as soon as he was asking. I'm like, oh boy, Ryan, on the spot. Run with it. Do whatever you want.
All right. I don't want to
character. Have fun with
do
it.
crazy shit. All right.
Go ahead. Go crazy. Have fun.
Okay.
With it.
Yeah. So, my mother's in Skoberheim. She's done a few different things. She's worked as a barmaid when she was younger. Now she made enough money and she opened her own bakery.
Oh, very nice.
Yeah, she makes pastries, breads, anything of the sort.
Not the culinary type yourself.
Grew up in the army, ate what I was given.
Okay.
Not always the best. But, she did good business.
Nice.
My father. Her name?
Yeah.
Jesus, don't forget your mother's name. Ignatius would know in a heartbeat.
Francine.
Beautiful.
Oh, very nice. And your father?
Don't know. Never saw him. Never around.
Oh, okay.
Maybe he's hanging out with Jaquolin's dad.
Please. That'd be amazing. No, he was gone by the time I was born, and my mother never really mentions him, so
Oh.
I didn't push the subject. I asked a few times, but didn't get anywhere. Figured I'd let it go. Seemed like it was painful for her.
Ah. I understand that.
Is your mother the orc or something else? Or is the dad the
She's
orc?
human.
There you go. Okay.
Yeah. Haven't seen her in a while. A little worried after the whole Civil War revolution in Skoberheim, so have to look her up.
Well, I hope she's doing all right.
I hope so, but I can't see anyone wanting to harm someone who made such delicious treats for everyone. So I'm sure she's fine. Now that we're on the subject, is there somewhere in town we can look for worldly news?
There's not really a specific place. I mean, the guy back at the bar, Matt, he actually picks up on a lot of the rumor mill, what's going around, any whispers. Outside of that, I mean, we've got our connection through the Gray Hand, and there's a little hangout with them.
There are papers and a printing service in town in Waterdeep that exists, and people get all sorts of...
Oh, yeah, Shen Chen.
Yeah. Yep. Shen.
Oh, that's right.
The Waterdeep news.
Yep.
That's kind of the basic events of the city, of big things going on in the world.
Well, I try to stay informed with Skoberheim after everything that happened, and since I think my mother's still there, she might have tried to escape while it was in the in the middle of the war. But
D20. Is his mother dead?
So anywhere I could find news on
Yeah, there's
what's happening there.
You'd be. I mean, there. I don't know how much it would actually get out of the city, but you'd be able to get a general gist.
That's true. They might try to keep.
Let's see. You could probably get a general idea from the.
Wait, last time I heard it was like locked down, right?
Yes. You very much knew that. Like, they close off their borders. No one in, no one out.
But I know. I mean, any whispers from any travelers who might have gotten out.
Last time I heard it was pretty locked down, so it's gonna be hard to hear much. But
yeah,
I mean, we can start at the paper. Might as well.
Yeah, we could do that.
Before we, bother others, might as well look at where they're advertising the news.
There's a stand right by that sells papers if you want to look through the local Waterdeep.
Yeah. Hello there. Good morning to you.
Salutations, good sir, and good morning. What can I do for you, you beautiful-looking buck?
Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Are you looking to get one of these wonderful papers I have for sale?
Yeah, how much for a paper?
It's a copper, my friend.
I'll give him 3 copper. Keep the change for your compliments.
Yes, indeed, sir. Here, enjoy Waterdeep's wonderful paper, Taking the Deep Dive, as he hands you the piece of paper, as the title is, Taking the Deep.
Very clever. I enjoy that.
That's wonderful, and we appreciate your patronage, you wonderful, beautiful individual.
I'm just gonna take in my surroundings.
Sure.
Do I notice anything?
Make a perception check.
Pretty good. 21.
21. Normal people. Occasional people looking your way, trying to recognize if you're familiar or not. It doesn't seem like anybody really wants to bother you. Some people might be recognizing Tyrian because of the paintings and stuff Yvonne has done to really keep the memory of everyone alive inside Waterdeep from what happened all those years ago. But it's just very casual in the park right now. It doesn't seem to be anything in particular catching your eyes until you do notice a sweaty Italian-looking guy pushing up a cart. And he just like, it's around the mates a pop-up stand! Starts shouting in a corner, way off in the distance, down at the other end of the park. You see all these kids running away from him. He's like, you little rats, come here!
Oh my god. Oh my god. How is he still in business? He's the one that was... I literally have him Realmate, the gross pastry shop.
Yeah.
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 Sometimes you get around health code violations.
Yeah.
It's got a way.
So I'll just scan the headlines, and if there's anything interesting, I'll read it.
All right. Headlines.
I'm just gonna kind of walk along, so like, just kind of gesture a little bit so that we can walk and look, and I'll just kind of lead them.
Sure.
I want to make my way towards the Realmate stand.
All right, you guys start walking through the park. Headline-wise, you see stuff as the news cycle is really harping on the story that the Northern Alliance, and it's like Alliance struck, and use all this in common, discussing the incredible negotiations of Waterdeep that bartered their way to strengthening their armies, utilizing what forces are left in the Northern Alliance, and finding new powerful allies that legend to destroy mythical beasts. It's really, really referring to that other group that the Tyrians and all of his friends have talked about, really building him up to sound like something more than what they are. Like this is like they're somehow going to sway this war. You definitely can read between the lines there that they're really banking on scaring any enforcements in here or any dissenting opinions, or at least exaggerating to make people more excited about the position.
Just giving people hope.
Yeah.
Boost morale.
As for some of the other headlines, you can see Minna at a standstill. There's still rumors coming out that some the leaders of Minna pulled their army back down to try and hold their position as some strange new creatures and foes are pulling their attention away. You have a headline that Phandalin closes their tour shops for fear of incoming violence. It finally took them, after all these years, to not allow new visitors to see the Forge, the mythical Forge. Tours have stopped. As a sub-article, Skolberheim is mentioned in one of the titles. That's Skolberheim remains neutral, hearing news of the alliance. Skolberheim has not reached out, nor has it condemned the alliance between Waterdeep and the North, which is a big win from many of the analysis in the article, that they don't end up angering Skolberheim, because starting another front with Skolberheim basically being their bordering nation, bordering kingdom, would surely cause Waterdeep to lose this war. If the Cobalt Wolves and the Skolberheim people teamed up, the worst fears would definitely happen, and they would crush Waterdeep, is the idea of the article. More fear-mongering in contrast to the other article that's written by someone differently. Different authors spliced throughout. Maybe the truth is somewhere in between. But those are most of the headlines you can get from Waterdeep, besides the local stuff that's like local shops, shortages on food and water in some locations. There's soldiers, and then like a more tabloid section is like, where has the Mad Mage gone now? He made an appearance, and without him, he single-handedly saved Waterdeep in one instance from the kobolds, and they're classifying him.
That's right.
They're classifying him as like the Messiah or Savior, or secretly pulling the strings behind the government. They start talking about like Deep Mad Mage, basically. So that's you get to think about all that.
That's right. So the Mad Mage, like, wasn't he like running through the streets, like? You
don't know. You have to ask. You should ask.
No, I think. No, this is me.
Yeah.
Like, didn't we hear about him? Like, and somebody talked about like an old dude running around. Yes.
Salem mentioned it in a black box message that the Mad Mage helped you guys out, and everyone was like, "What?" Helped Waterdeep. And then you guys know from Kringlefest as players that he his pocket defense convention inside his mountain was taken over by the squatter known as Kringles.
Yeah.
And he kicked everybody the fuck out, and he is currently repairing that, to your knowledge.
Okay. I was just trying to remember what I...
Yeah. But that is a point of interest. If you should ask somebody, I would encourage trying to figure out what the Mad Mage did to save Waterdeep.
Okay. Well.
As we arrive at Ralmates' thing.
Pop-up shop. It's a little stand. It's got a cart. He can push it around. Yeah.
Yeah. And I'm going to kind of wait till he's working with somebody and kind of make it look like I'm in line off to the side.
Yep.
Does it have like a locking mechanism for the wheel?
Yeah. It's currently engaged.
Is it something I could reach with like a foot? Or a tail?
With a foot, not your tail. You'd have to use your foot to apply enough pressure on the stand, because there's a lot of materials on there, and like for the food he's creating and hauling, probably weighs like 250, 300 pounds, this thing. So you would have to make a stealth check if you wanted to.
I want to see if I can get close first.
All right.
close and in position to do so.
All right, you're third in line right now.
17.
Jesus fucking Christ. All right, you next. The person goes out of line, and the next one comes up. Welcome to Rally, mate. What can I do for you? Do you have like the ice with the flavors? No, this is the Rally, mate. I don't have the ice. No. You see, baked goods. I have something better than the ice. Look at this pastry here. Look at the. Have you ever seen frosting that's so pink? No, but I'm looking. It's kind of hot out. I kind of want. It's like, what are you, a seaman? So he's talking.
I'm just gonna flick my foot and activate the the locking mechanism. Right. I want to get it to roll on its own and just run away.
You click on the mechanism. It's relatively flat here in this area, but not super flat. So you see, it's now as you hit it. It's clearly, as he's talking to the guy, he's moving the stand, but he's not noticing it because his hands are waving so much. It's now, instead of steady, it is definitely unstable.
I'm gonna just kind of back away, kind of slowly.
Okay.
And just kind of think to myself.
All right. As the kid goes, oh, but I only have enough for ice. So it's like, kid, how many times do I gotta tell you? There's no ice here. Oh, I don't think I'm gonna get anything. Well, please then. Somebody else in line is so hungry right now. Look at all these starving people here. Look, even a tiefling. I haven't seen a tiefling in about 5 years. This is unbelievable. Oh, step right up.
What do you have?
Oh, we have baked goods, we have pastries, we have every kind of sweet roll you could want here. Where are my sweet rolls? Well, we had sweet... You see him start sweating profusely like you're used to. You see him, this is He takes out a napkin and he's like dabbing his armpits with a napkin in public. Oh, this is, Hey, little boy, with the boy, no, he doesn't have anything on them. Come here. Yeah, you got the ice? No, I don't have any ice. Did you see the sweet rolls? Do you know where the sweet rolls went? Do you see him leaning on the cart right now and it's starting to move a little bit? He's like, oh, geez. And he clicks the wheel and he locks the wheel back in place. Oh, that's getting unsteady right now. You know, it was right. Did you see someone when I was talking to you, little boy? And he goes, no, I don't believe I saw. No, just like it was right here. And the kid looks over. It's like, you mean those sweet rolls? He opens it. Ah! Oh! You're right or wrong, little boy. Yes, those sweet rolls. Yes, of course. As he goes to take the sweet rolls out and he puts it on top, it starts moving. He's like, oh! He clicks it again. Oh, it must be elusive down there today. Something is a bit crazy. I apologize for all of this, but it seems,
So these sweet rolls, are they all the same flavor?
No, of course not. These are we got the blueberry. These are picked from blueberries, all from the groves up near Whitland. You know where we're at up in the he's telling you a story, and as he's going through like cranberries, and he's going through all these.
I really want to capture him in this story.
All right, give me a deception check.
Ooh.
Because you're trying to deceive him that you actually give a shit about what he's talking about.
Ooh, boy. That is a hearty 17.
Okay. He's pretty locked into you right now. He thinks he's got a sale on his hands. As the kid comes back, and he's just like, Hey! He's like, not now, little boy! What? I told you I have no ice! And the kid looks, but look, you have ice right there! And he looks, oh! Where all of his pastries once were are gone besides the sweet rolls he has in his hands, and just covered in ice. Just ice shavings. Whoa! As he starts pushing through the ice shavings, you can see most of his stuff is just iced over. He's like, no! Oh, no one wants an icy bread! He's like, the kid just puts the coin on the table in the ice, and he just takes a handful of the ice and just walks away. He's like, no, wait! I don't... Oh! We have two sweet rolls left.
Okay. I'm not very hungry right now.
Oh, all right then, sir. Well, have day. As he just looks at his cart covered in ice right now, and it's melting.
It's a magical cart.
Well, you missed an interesting opportunity. It was very entertaining right there.
Yeah, as you were reading your paper.
Oh, nothing. I'm just
sorry,
some strange happenings
up
here in Waterdeep.
Yeah, like I thought. Only word on Skoberheim is that there's no word.
Ah.
Well, maybe we go talk to Matt and see what he says.
Sure.
You guys,
Master of Whispers.
Stroll through your day. You guys are back at the bar, and inside the bar, you see Matt there, and you do see a gray hooded figure sitting across from Matt right now, as the two are just talking.
Hello.
As the face turns, you recognize the familiar face of the Blackstaff.
Do I even know who that is?
You would know.
Wait, did we meet them?
You would know. You did not. Ignatius didn't meet Blackstaff through any of our game sessions, but Skoberheim is very aware of powerful political figures. You would have known. She would have been to Skoberheim at times before in the past, so you do recognize who Blackstaff is at the very least, and the prestige she carries.
Oh. Miss Blackstaff, I'm sorry to intrude.
I believe I'm in Tyrian's humble abode. I have not yet met your acquaintance.
Ignatius, the new guy, I guess.
Ah, the new guy. That's wonderful. Joining your group of adventurers here. I heard you were all in town and had some interesting artifact that piqued my interest from what Salem told me of your travels. And strong hands for you, Mr. Ignatius. Strong hands come great might, maybe. I can recognize some of your armor there from Skoberheim. You must be, to be running with this crew, I would imagine you have some great capabilities.
Well, you're very insightful.
Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah, we did find an interesting item. I didn't. You leave the tower?
Yes. It is almost mandatory now that I be in many places at once. And not all of us enjoy the idea of cloning themselves. So I have to go in person.
Okay. Yeah. We do have something. Do you want to join us, Ignatius? Do you want to talk with Matt some more?
Well, we can all talk first, because I believe if we're going to look at this, it'd be better if we looked in a safer place.
Yeah.
But I wanted to come meet whoever was out and about today and see how things were going. It's one of my lesser busy days.
Yes. Well, I was just looking around for any information I could find on Skoberheim. Not much in the newspapers, so I thought Matt might know, and we also mentioned the Gray Hand, so you being here is perfect. Just being from there, I try to keep up with the happenings on.
A native of Skoberheim or a refugee?
I'm from Skoberheim. I was born there.
Well, Matt, do you have anything of interest that maybe even my ears would like to hear? And you can see Matt is like cheerful but confident. Seems like he's had conversations before with Blackstaff, interestingly enough. Skoberheim, yeah, not much in and out. It seems like places on lockdown. There's been continued searches from any deserters of the war effort. The Valkyries have made quite an effort to hunt down any deserters and lay waste to them. So there isn't much we can do when they're staying within their borders, but they're getting a little more, as my friends would say, bold, and they're pushing the boundaries to go into all kinds of territories outside of Skober, trying to track down who they deem deserters of this Skoberheim war, still years later. Inside, people seem to be under martial law still. Not much else gets out, whether how they're doing good or bad, it's hard to tell, since no one really gets in and out. Even the Cobalt Wolves seem to be struggling to infiltrate, which is saying something.
Well, let's hope things aren't too bad.
Yeah, I think of all the poor people stuck in these great affairs that just want to live normal lives.
Well, thank you, Matt.
Sure.
Was there an item we were going to look at?
Yeah, you guys were. Now, as she stands up, Ignatius.
Yes, ma'am.
I get this strange feeling that you might be gifted. Is that true?
I suppose it is.
Very good. Tyrian has told you about gifted to take home inside Waterdeep. Is this your new home?
I mean, if they'll take me in, I guess. I just been wandering around for so long, I haven't really had a place to call home since I left Skoberheim.
This sure sounds like home to me, then. I have a wonderful contract you're going to sign.
What contract?
As she starts walking you guys outside and walks you towards her tower.
All right.
The two of you go throughout the day. You chat. Tyrian fills you in on your responsibilities to Waterdeep as you guys enter into the castle, into her tower. And as you get into her room and wards are cast and everything to keep prying eyes out and keep her safe and keep ears out as well, she sits you down and slides over a scroll for you to sign for your commitment of arcane services to Waterdeep.
As we were walking and Blackstaff was leading the way,
Yep.
I kind of leaned over and I was like, don't worry. If we, I haven't really done anything because I've literally just been out of the city for 5 years.
She leans over. Oh, that reminds me. You have quite the work built up there, Tyrian. 5 years of deferments can add up real quick. But we'll work through that. It seems like you all will be around for some time.
Just
we gotta go on this new quest.
Oh, that's so. Well, maybe if it pertains to the security of Waterdeep, I might let it pass.
It does.
Oh, we'll have to talk
Absolutely.
in detail about it then. You can tell she loves having this over all the mages.
Kind of a silly question. The contract talks about arcane. I have more holy abilities.
Oh, sure. We have plenty that the divine have blessed in our ranks.
I'm just making sure that I'm
Oh, you count.
qualified.
Certainly.
All right, well, any help I can do in town, I'd be happy to lend a hand.
Oh, I love to hear that. I certainly never hear that enough. As you sign the contract, it like disappears, and you see her have an ID register, and she just jots down your number in there, and she's like, "Excellent. Well, Ignatius, we are happy to have you as a resident of Waterdeep, and if your services are ever needed, we will let you know, which they will be, because if you don't know, which you do know, we're at war."
Yes. Well, thank you. I'm honored and humbled to be a part of Waterdeep as my new home.
So, this item, what is it?
Yes, there's actually 2 items I was hoping you might be able to give me insight on.
I can try my best.
One is not so amazing, but it was nifty.
Okay.
And then one is the important thing.
Okay.
So first off, I'm going to pull out the Shield of Atreus.
Oh, shit. Yep. Yes, I know exactly what it is. Yes.
So we found this in an interesting dungeon. It was overrun by an entity called Tharnazan.
Oh, no.
Yes, it's exactly who you're thinking of.
Oh, no.
He had taken this fortress to be his home as he was trying to break into it and steal its secrets.
Mm-hmm.
And we found this specific item in a room that was filled with gas, poisonous dust from these butterflies.
Mm-hmm.
And looking through the shield cleared the vision. It allowed us to see things well, but I don't know if that's the only ability to carry.
I can most certainly take a look at it. She lays it down. She casts an identifying ritual on it. It takes about 10 minutes. As she burns incense, you can see she lays out a book in front of her. She reads some of the runes. The book starts flipping through the pages, and as she's crisscross applesauce, she starts levitating a little bit. Her staff levitating above her crisscross legs, and then
Did Matt Mercer come with us, by the way?
No.
Okay.
I didn't think so.
No. He doesn't get out much. People come to me. She sits down, and her eyes open up again. It would seem it allows you to see in blinding conditions for up to about 25 feet. It's a hardy shield. It's made of strong metals. It's a worthy catch, but there is not any curses or blessings or boons other than that I can find on here.
Well, thank you for that.
Sure.
I promise not to treat you like my personal identifier. And then I reach into the bag.
It always comes back to as she appears a stack of your work orders, which is fucking tall.
I reach into the bag of holding.
Yeah.
And I pull out the Orb of Eternal Air.
As it comes into the room, you can just feel this air hit the entirety of the room. It almost like sucks out all the lights before they turn back on, and it's just beautiful, like really bright green. It's almost yellow. It's glow to it. It's very almost white opaque. It doesn't have so much color pigment to it, but just the slightest bit of this brightness to it.
We found at the end of said dungeon. This is, well, first of all, it's one of those elemental orbs that Charnuk is after. This is the air orb. We were led to it by I think it was an angel
Mm-hmm.
It's also called the Paragon of Light. The orb is. And this is what Eve sent us after to try and bring back Shalom.
Interesting. Well, this is definitely of importance, and I will do my best. As she puts it down, she ends up burning. She goes over to one of her desks and she pulls out some ivory. She takes that. She comes, sits back down. She goes to cast her spell, and she casts Legend Lore on it.
Ooh.
Let me just read Legend Lore again.
What information do you have to tell yourself?
Person plus your object spell brings to your mind a brief summary of the significance, lore of the thing, current tales, forgotten stories, or even secret lore that has been widely known. Isn't of legendary importance. You gain no information. Oh, I didn't know that. What did he legend lore? Oh no, yeah, that was still legendary. Yeah, okay, that's fair. The information is accurate, but it might. Okay. As she casts Legend Lore, and the glow, it seems like all the light from the room just goes to focusing on the orb. You hear Blackstaff start discussing and describing some of what she is gathering from it. This was a sphere, an orb of eternal harmony created by 4 of the demigods of the elements that stood up and cast down Retmar. That is the god that created all minotaurs. This orb belonged to Tyran, the demigod of wind. It has been protected for millennia by the Minotaur people and sits at the Sanctum of Air in one of the northern shores of the world. There guarded by the Minotaur people. It's cast inside a maze. The item itself is extremely powerful, so much so that at one point an individual tried to harness its power and cause the desolation of Minna. No, Penk. Excuse me, Penk. Deserts rose as the lush forests of Minna were destroyed, and much of the world was lost. But the Minotaurs recovered what it was and began rebuilding. It's typically associated as a beacon of hope, looked upon by any of the gods underneath Zahir favorably, and can wield great powers for those in tune with their emotions and intelligence enough to wield it. Someone of great prowess is required to be able to use the capabilities of this orb, as it's used to, at least in conjunction with the other 4 elemental orbs, it has the power to banish gods, and it has the power to heal. In particular, the air has a way of mending what has been lost and breathing life back into the world, as it has done with Penk to try and bring life back in. But with life, it can take life. And she sits down as the orb continues floating, and it may also serve as some sort of key. I'm unsure of key to what or how, but that is as much as my arcane powers can tell me.
This is quite the orb that you guys found.
This is unbelievable.
It's a very, that's very important item.
Well, we should probably keep this extremely safe. Where have you been keeping this?
In a pocket dimension.
Honestly, not a terrible idea.
It's been in our bag of holding.
Right.
Keeps it away from most prying eyes.
If you lose the bag of holding, though, turn it out, easily into the wrong hands. Salem told me you, from your stories and from the black boxes I reviewed, you guys fought a creature who was also in pursuit of this item.
Yeah.
It's troubling to think he was pursuing this if he had information like this about it.
He seemed to have a better understanding than we did of it. Or believed he did, at least.
This is the giant lizard.
Yeah. Yeah, its name was Ragnar.
Yes, that does jog my memory now. Yes, Ragnorm Keckham, I believe is what Salem told me from all your stories.
Yeah, he's not a friendly guy.
Doesn't seem so, but he also seems fanatical, from what I could see.
Absolutely. And very difficult to beat between the 7 of us plus Tharzand and his... Oh, by the way, you know how they always keep pet?
Yes.
His is a golden Goristro named
Bulgura.
Bulgura.
or a golden Bulgura named Tim Tom.
I don't know if these pets are the only redeemable thing about the Xanathar brothers, or one of the worst things about the Xanathar brothers.
Even with all of us, we were holding him at bay.
That is extremely troubling.
He was very powerful.
But it should be of utmost importance that we keep this from him and keep our secret a secret, as I heard Ulyrus couldn't.
In a sense. He didn't give any specifics, but he did mark Waterdeep as a target. Reg.
We're in no position to fortify deeper, as we are already at war and as fortified as can be. Hopefully, do you know if he has any means of transportation, any way to get here?
Honestly, I think he just walks with his army.
Well, that's great news.
Because we got displaced briefly in the Feywild, so time gets weird. But by the time we arrived at the temple, I think it was 2 months, and he was just arriving at the temple when we had met him much deeper south. So I don't think he has a means of instant travel.
Excellent.
I think he mostly gets... I mean, he has incredible strength, so I'm sure he pushes a fanatic army of his other madness lizards, minotaurs, what have you, as fast as they can go. I'm sure they have enhanced stamina, so they can make better time than most. But he's still limited.
Did you have any interactions with this, either of you, this Ari Gilfrey? That was part of that other group Salem told me you met at the mountain?
Briefly. We met him outside the mountain, really.
What do you make of his markings?
I mean, they look the same, but he didn't seem any crazy. He was definitely not like any of the other madness that's out there.
That's reassuring.
Normally it afflicts, it's an infection, and it harms the person. I mean, briefly, our friend Tellius was affected by it.
Really?
He had some sort of face-off with this Ragnorm character, and it did something to him, and he basically lost his arm was covered in ice and was essentially untouchable for a time, covered with the tattoos underneath, the markings underneath, and it seemed like it was warping magic when he tried to use it, but it didn't seem like it was helping him. It felt like an infection to him, and with that other character, it didn't really seem the same.
Well, I appreciate your observations. I'll have to talk to Tellius when he's feeling better. I heard the three of them had stomach aches, and they weren't really working so well today. So they were taking the day to stay in bed.
I hadn't figured out why we didn't see them at lunch, actually.
Yeah.
The sea can do that to you.
That is fair. You guys had some interesting travels, to say the least. A temple of sorts you visited. You met a Valkyrie.
Yeah.
It's the Storm Temple.
I'll tell you a bit more.
Storm Temple. That's something I have not heard in a very long time. At least in my lifetime. In other Blackstaff lifetimes, that was something mentioned long ago. Thought to not even exist anymore.
Well, the storm has, as it happens, decided I was worthy to carry out its will.
Storm has feelings now. Joy. Well, let's hope the storm is at our backs.
Well, I'm here, so it means something.
Certainly. Do you have a positive relationship with the storm and the Valkyrie?
As positive as you can have. The storm is not very direct. It just kind of gives signs and not very much to go off of. It's mainly just feeling and trying to interpret the will. But
that sounds like the worst kind of gods. That's why wizard magic is much better than god magic. God, bullshit prophecies and nonsense. Okay, well, Tyrian, how much would you trust Ignatius here?
Should I leave the room?
No.
He helped us a great deal when storm thing.
All right. Ignatius, I'd like you to keep this as a secret. A kingdom security secret between us.
You have my word.
Thank you. I only bring this up, and I only trust you because of the company you keep. I bring it up at the mention of your experiences with the Valkyrie. We are housing 2 defecting Valkyries from Skolberheim. Potentially, it would be in best interest to see if your Valkyrie would like to reunite with her sisters.
I mean, I can ask, but she seems very happy manning the temple. I think that's where she wants to be, but
can't we not go back for like a month?
That's also true. I cannot go back for a month, but I can...
Good to know.
Surely relay the message, but if I had to guess, I would say she was happy where she was.
Fair enough. But I would greatly appreciate if you relayed the message. What was the name of this Valkyrie that you came across so I could tell her sisters?
Cole.
Yep, there it is, Cole. Yep, I had it too. I wrote it down.
Wonderful. I will let her sisters know.
Just pardon my skepticism. Um, are you sure these Valkyries aren't pretending to be defectors in order to capture others?
Yes. I can say with certainty.
Okay. Because the Valkyries were doing most of the rounding up and execution of the defectors.
As I am aware, and as you have promised secrecy, there are even internal politics within the Valkyries. And they have their own ideas and beliefs as well, and it is their story to tell you if you do come across them.
All right.
Well, I think that is just about everything we want to discuss here, but we will need to figure out what to do with this orb that is floating here. Oh, and since you brought up Xanathar and his brothers, we found one of his brothers dead in the sewers. So that's one off the list.
What?
Yes, one of his 5 brothers, they showed up in the sewers just after Kringlefest, actually, strangely enough. I think that the Mad Mage got the better of him, and he ended up washing up on one of the sewer drains, in which the kids thought it was something fun to pull and pry until they ended up taking an entire beholder out of the muck and terrified them to death. So I did teach them not to play in the sewers anymore, or by the exits.
Wow.
Well, I think we are going to try and put this in a very safe place, in a plane I can hide it in, and if you ever need this, let me know, and I will get it from this plane. And that'll be that. We will keep this powerful object out of Ragnorm's hands, out of the Cobalt Alliance hands, and basically anybody's hands. This is nobody's now. This
Yeah, well, basically the biggest thing is trying to get Eve back up, because she may be able to utilize, bring back Shalamir.
She is in dire condition right now, but stabilized. I'm not sure what could bring her back. She's displaying the same markings of madness as some of the others. It's your best guess. The clerics of the north are doing their very best, but it looked like something had bitten her almost in half.
Why her spell not reached her? We tried to message her a few times.
Oh, well, that would certainly explain it.
So we taking the orb to Eve?
I think we will...
Or if you're in contact with Eve, we can leave it with you.
Yes, I would much prefer that. Leave this with me, as I don't want it falling into the wrong hands.
You guys found it. It's your decision.
You should check with your dear friend Charnook, because he may have religious...
He may have an objection to
objections to this. But I will hold on to it until he returns.
But compromise would be potentially if we could outfit us with an item different from a bag of holding, something that would allow the opening of a pocket dimension. That could be a compromise.
I will look around for something like that. Until then, I can keep it with my magic hidden.
Because I know of a spell I've heard rumors of a spell that lets you store small amounts of objects, not the same size of a bag of holding, but
certainly
enough to fill a small box easily for this. And you could if we could attach it to like a bracelet or something like that for activation.
Adam's been gone for quite a while too. Enchanters are hard to come by during these times. They're hard to come by before these times. I'll try and see if I can procure an item like that. L'Oreal might have a better idea. Well, thank you for your honesty. Thank you for signing up. And I look forward to reconvening with the rest of your group to ask more questions.
Before we go,
Yes.
curiosity. And you don't have to answer for for their protection, but what were the Valkyries' names? Possibly I know them.
At this time, I'm not at liberty to reveal that.
I understand.
But I imagine you would have, if you were a part of Skulberheim. Most people knew the ranks.
Okay, well, maybe I'll meet them someday.
Maybe. I guarantee you'd get an audience if you could find their sister.
Okay.
All right. If you guys have no more questions, that's where we'll end tonight's session.
Okay.